What's up, YouTube? Just wanted to show you my latest project I'm going to be starting here over at the shop. I've got my 53 Ford up on the frame machine, and I'm going to be pulling the wheels off, and I've got a full disc brake conversion setup that I got from my buddy Mark over at ECI in Ellington, Connecticut. That's Engineered Components Inc. And he's got a nice little setup. So I got it laid out here on the table. Let me flip the thing around and I'll show you. All right, so here's the whole setup laid out. So these are the rotors. Now what he told me is they're a late 80s Ranger or early 90s. And he's made these brackets so that these things, these are the caliper brackets to bolt that on. The kit comes with the brackets, the hoses, the bolts for the hoses, both calipers with pads, hardware. Got a big bag of hardware here. Oh, there it goes. All kinds of nuts and bolts in there. It comes with the bearings, the inner seals, and these are some sort of adapter that goes on to the existing spindle. I'm not sure how this all goes together, but we're gonna figure it out. So here's my 53 Ford Customline sitting up in the air over here. I'm gonna pull the wheels off in a minute, and we'll show you what it looks like. All right, so I've got the excuse me. I've got the old drums stripped off. Really, you can take this whole thing out as an assembly. The first one I did, I pulled all the shoes off and everything, and it's really just these 4 bolts that hold it in. There's a couple of castle nuts, which you see right here. I stuck them back in there with some cotter pins. Just pull those cotter pins out, and then you can unbolt this whole thing. Just undo the line and take those 4 bolts out, and the whole thing comes out as one piece. So you pull the drum off first, obviously, so that you can get to that stuff. So here's the car all stripped down. I've got to figure out how these brackets go. I've got kind of a little instruction sheet that came with the kit, and I got to figure out how it's supposed to bolt up. All right, guys, so here's the deal. I got the brackets bolted up. I believe this is the way it's supposed to go. So according to his drawing here, everything bolts to the back side of the plate that the spindle is part of. So you use the original bolts for the bottom 2 here and here, and then the threaded hole in the triangular bracket is this rear one. Okay, you use the original bolt here with a washer that came with the kit, and then this bolt and nut came with the kit, and then up top here there's like a tube spacer that you got to install, and then there's a nut that goes on the back of this, and there's this spacer that I had to drive on here. Let me grab the... All right, so here's the spacer that you have to install onto the spindle itself, and it's got a... You could see it's got a taper to the inside here. I believe that goes to the inside because that's supposed to kind of fit around this curved edge in here. The way they milled this thing, it left kind of a rounded edge on the inside. So when you drive this thing on, it goes like this. And I used a hammer, a rubber mallet, and you just kept working it back and forth. And sometimes a block of wood. When I was right at the end there, I used a block of wood. I didn't have anything that I could slide over here. I would imagine a piece of PVC or something might work pretty good to drive that on there. I just didn't have something, so I just used the hammer. So that's the spacer. I'm going to go ahead and finish getting everything, make sure everything's tightened up, put all the cotter pins in on all the castle nuts, and then I'm going to start assembling the rotor and caliper setup. All right, so I got everything tightened down. The only problem I ran into was the nut on this one ended up going way further in than the hole for the cotter pin. So I drilled a new one with an 1/8 inch drill bit. Unfortunately, I broke the drill bit off in there, and it is now working as the cotter pin. So that's going to be fun to take off next time. But anyway, that's all bolted up, tightened up. I've got my rotors over here. I've packed the inner bearings, put the seals, the new seals that came with the kit on there, and I'll pack the, I'll put them on, and then I'll pack the outer bearing and finish bolting it up. So here we go. All right, so I got the whole thing buttoned up. I've got both sides done. Take you around over here where my drop light is. I can show you what I did. So one thing you will have to modify is the hole that this goes into. This is just a little bit larger where it slides into this hole and you put the clip on. So all I did was use a unibit, reamed it out a little bit, and it fit right in there, right where it's supposed to. That line, turn this. That line comes around, goes through the you see it here, it goes through behind the spindle there where the kingpin is and into the caliper right there. And this piece with the caliper, it's hard to see right here, but it has a little bit of an angle to it where it bolts up, and I believe that's just so it fits in there just like that. So the caliper does bolt right up. The other side I did have to modify. You could see the caliper is really close to that bracket right there. This is the fixed side, so it really doesn't matter. But the other side, I did have to cut that a little bit because the caliper wasn't sliding in enough, so I just hit it with the grinder a little bit, cleaned it up. But that's it. I got to get some new covers for the ends there. This side's all done. I'll show you where I had to grind that a little bit. So right in there, you could see where I hit it with the grinder and cleaned it up a little bit. Had to make a little more room for this caliper. But they bolted up nice, and I'm happy with the way it looks. I really can't wait to drive this thing. I've got a dual master cylinder that I'm going to be putting in here to replace this single, and I've got a brake booster that came with it, so I will probably utilize both. And this is the brake booster that I got. So that's going to be the next trick, and I'll do a separate video on that. So thank. All right, so there you have it. The disc brake setup's all converted over. I'm super happy with the way it came out. Appreciate you guys watching. Channel's growing like crazy right now. It's awesome. So keep subscribing, keep watching. Got some more stuff coming up on the building here. My water setup and all that. And so thanks for watching. Make sure you check out Mark's site at ECI Engineer Components. I'm going to be I'll post a link below, and he's got some great products, great hot rod stuff for brakes, and really cool conversions. And he's a great dude, small business. It's just a mom and pop shop. And I'm happy to do business with those type of businesses. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.